Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. Today I got an Inbody scan, so I wanted to go over whether I gained or lost muscle from doing my marathon, training, all that good stuff. I'm not a personal trainer, I'm not a nutritionist. This is pretty much just like anecdotal, like based on my results from my Inbody scan, kind of like what I think. And obviously it is based on the numbers here, but again, like that's not like a perfect science, so who really knows? But I thought it was really interesting. So I did a scan right before my marathon. So on October 6th, so that was like the very end of my training. And then I did another one today. It is November 11th. So I just kind of wanted to see, even during that time, like where I was at and where I am now. So on October 6th, I was 162.9 pounds. My skeletal muscle mass was 60 pounds and my body fat was at 34.1. And they give you like a little line graph. So I'm gonna maybe I'll just show you the line graph. So here is my graph. So in February of 2021, I was 151.5 pounds, 60 pounds of skeletal muscle mass, and about 29% body fat. And then this one was March 27th, which is right before I signed up for the marathon. So as a reminder, I signed up for the marathon on March 30th. So I didn't know when I did this scan, but it is really interesting because I did the scan right before. So I was at 154.5 pounds, 60.8 pounds of muscle mass, and then 29.6% body fat. So it had gone up a little bit, but also my weight went up a little bit. But I did also put on some muscle. Then in May, I put on a little bit more weight and my muscle mass also went up. And then I was at 29.8% body fat. So basically all my weight gain there was just like straight muscle. So that is really interesting because that was like the beginning stages of starting to train, and I was still going to burn pretty much like normal, and then I was just running a little bit on top of that, but the runs were relatively short. It was like 2-3 mile runs. I think it was only 3 runs a week. So that kind of makes sense because I was doing my burn routine, but then I was doing that additional cardio. So it kind of maybe like that was a sweet spot where I was burning a little bit extra fat at the time, but still gaining the muscle because I was doing all my burn. I was coming off of a really restrictive meal plan starting, so like in January is when I came off of it. And so that's why you'll see the weight gain throughout the process, because I was no longer restricting what I was eating in any sort of way. I was doing more like intuitive eating, but also like not worrying about it, just not even being concerned, because I knew I was running, and the main thing, like a lot of people were like, make sure you eat enough. So at times I probably did go a little bit overboard, but I also was like coming out of this really restrictive place, and I knew that just like for my mental well-being and like my overall health, that was kind of what needed to happen. So then I'm not sure what happened because there's only a month difference here, but I seem to have lost some muscle, but still gained some weight, and my body fat percentage went way up. So I don't know what happened in May specifically. If maybe like work was busy, I don't know how much I went to the gym, but obviously that makes a big difference there. And so that kind of carried over into July. Although like, again, it looks like I got some muscle back, but again, like added another couple of pounds. So my body fat kind of stayed the same, got a little bit of muscle back. And then July and August is when my training was like at its peak for the marathon. Like I was doing my longest runs, except for when I went on vacation. So my weight stayed steady, my muscle mass stayed pretty steady, my fat seems to have gone up somehow. So it did go up a little bit there. And I was definitely backing off of my burn workouts at that point. So I went away in July for 2 weeks to Costa Rica. You can always check out those vlogs. So I didn't get in any burn workouts. I actually didn't get any runs in. But as soon as I came back, I started running again. And then that's when I was getting into like the long runs. So once we were getting to like a typical, just like 8 mile, 10 mile, that's where that was happening, was in that like August, definitely that August 16th was around the time I was doing long runs. So then we went from August to October, right before my marathon. So this is right before. So I really hadn't been going to burn very much. At that point, I was doing like every once in a while, like an upper body workout, either from home. But this day I really just scheduled a focus meeting and went in specifically for that because I knew I had my marathon. I wanted that pep talk. They are so great at Burn. I love the focus meetings. And I kind of did want the body diagnostics just to see where my body was at. But it was more like the mental, just like talking through with the trainer, like one last time, not that they trained me for the marathon, but I don't know, like knowing that I could talk to a fitness professional just put me in a really good place. So the interesting thing, if you compare, obviously it went up and down again, but this was right before signing up and this was right before the marathon itself. So even though like I gained and lost some muscle, I kind of ended in a very, very similar spot, which is so interesting. Now, I did obviously put on between those 2 points, not quite 10 pounds, like 8 pounds. So that might have helped me to not lose a lot of muscle, because probably if I had gone down in weight, then I probably would have lost some muscle mass. And clearly my body fat did increase, but it's kind of cool to see that I did stay steady. And then, so that was right before the marathon, and then this was today. So I, again, have put on a couple pounds since then, more than a couple, but whatever. But I've put back 1.5 pounds of muscle, which is super cool. And my body fat hasn't really gone up too much. We are at 34.5% right now. So considering the gain, we did gain muscle, which is super cool. So if you're just curious, so basically this is how much muscle I have on each body part. If you've never done one of these before, it's really, really cool. I highly recommend. Then you can see kind of like where you fall. So I'm supposedly like on the high end of my weight for my weight, but my skeletal muscle mass is also higher than usual. Like this is like average, and then this is higher than average. So that's cool. My body fat is higher than average. That's like how many pounds of body fat, and that's how many pounds of muscle on my frame. So that's really cool, and that just shows how strong I'm getting. So overall, pretty cool to see that I really didn't lose major muscle during my whole marathon journey. I feel a lot weaker. Like when I go to burn, I feel super weak, and it's really annoying, but it's there, it's in there. So I'm not really sure like where I want to go from here, but I think in terms of my weight, just like weight with like fat and everything, I'm a little higher than I would want to be, but I also kind of like went a little extreme with like, I can have whatever I want. And I think part of that was like making sure that I was eating enough to support my marathon running and training and stuff. But I'm glad at least that means that I maintained my muscle mass, so that, I have that muscle memory I can spring back once I'm back in my burn routine. I'm kind of getting back into it. So that just means that I will be able to get strong again. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was interesting. If you've ever done an Inbody scan, let me know down below how it was for you. And if you've never done one, they're kind of cool. Like, I'm a little bit of a nerd about like those kind of things. I love going to my focus meetings and getting the scan done just so I can see and compare. And then it also, a lot of times I'm like feeling worse about myself. Like, if I just saw that I had gained all this weight, like, I'm a little bit frustrated, but knowing that I also put muscle back on, then I'm like, no, we're good. Like, it's okay, because my main goal is to just be strong. And so it like makes me feel really good and puts it into perspective. So that's one reason why they say like it's not just about the number on the scale, because it's totally not. And like, I haven't really done progress pictures or measurements, and like, I know my measurements have gone up, but it helps to put it in that perspective. So I'm like, no, we're good, everything's good. So I hope you enjoyed. Comment down below if you've ever tried Inbody before or not, and I will see you in the next video soon. Have a great day, stay positive, bye.